So I figured I'd do a Facebook Live only because I had a feeling before Kamala Harris came onto the scene that they were going to push through Project 2025. And that was a huge bone of contention for the left, of course, and the right, but the right don't even know it because they don't understand how deep that goes and what it's going to do to a lot of people, even themselves. But again, when you have religion play a huge part in any kind of campaign, that's what they're going to feed into, is the religious folks who don't understand how deep this goes and probably can't even see tomorrow for what it is. And it's pretty crazy. So yeah, before Harris came into the picture, and that was another thing to consider and another strategy to figure out, I had a feeling Project 2025 was going to be put into place. And it was just a matter of how it was going to manifest and who they could blame if something were to happen. And I don't know. It was more of a conditioning when they introduced Project 2025, when the Heritage Foundation came on the forefront just within the last 6 months. And it was a conditioning. And so then you bring in Harris to say, hey, this is what the deal is. You're going to see this, this, and this. You're going to experience this, this, and this. And the right wing don't see more than what they want to see. They don't see the bigger picture. Not all the right wing. Some of the right wing see the bigger picture. But then when they showed you the downsides of what Project 2025 was going to do, and you saw what she was campaigning on, and you still chose, and you signed on the dotted line. Many of you went out and voted, right? Yeah, of course they wanted you to vote. Because they wanted to get your permission. See, there's so many psychological operations. And I remember 5 or 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years ago, my mother's like, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Well, that's no shit. And people are like, oh, if you don't vote, you're un-American. Okay. Well, I realized that it's basically institutionalized war. That's what voting is. And I even knew that back in the conspiracy world when I knew it didn't matter, because how are you going to know? And there's some other things I was thinking about during that time. But then I realized it was institutionalized war, and I'm done with the wars. I'm really done. And so, but they needed your John Hancock. Just like every single therapy out there, operation, therapy, remedies, they need your permission. That's part of the Rosicrucian, the Freemason that run our society. And I have no problem with them because they are playing fair. It's the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, that will govern the conduct of nations. And they need your okay. That's why we have the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, it's not readily easy to find the information that you are looking for. You have to learn how to ask the right questions and put 2 and 2 together. And you're not always going to get government confirmation. So you have to think bigger than what, your narrow-minded questions could be. So, yeah, they had to get your permission. They had to get your okay. You had to get permission from them. And so now, and they had to show you all the downsides. Kamala Harris showed you the downsides of Project 2025. But Jillian, you didn't vote. You could have voted because it didn't matter. Do you already see how much they were pumping up Trump? Do you see they could have destroyed him at least twice, right? Wasn't there attempts at least twice? Attempts? Who knows where they came from? And so the system truly wanted to take him away and put Harris and whatever in office. They could have done it. They could have done it many times, but they didn't. Was it a coincidence? There was a bad shot? I don't know. You'll never fucking know. And so, yeah, we're going to get exactly what we asked for. When we have allowed people from Australia, people from Ukraine, people from Russia, people from United Kingdom to influence where you think your future should go as far as American politics, we're going to get exactly what we asked for. we are going to get an extremely dystopian society. And at this point, I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it. I just didn't know the strategy, how they're going to do it. So I had to figure out, who are they going to blame for it? But you don't need to blame anyone for it. You needed the okay. There's no one to blame. When your friends, like my husband, when your friends and people get in their car, or they signed on the dotted line and said, yes, I am voting for this person. When this person represents Project 2025, I am voting for this person. You have given permission for whatever is coming down the pipeline. That's why they have things on the inserts. That's why they have back the bottle. That's why they have government agencies to warn you. Don't do this, don't do that, evacuate, whatever. That's why you have the opposition to warn you. And if you still choose to go to an extreme, I don't care left or right, you either become the contrast, the backdrop, the thing to rebel against, or you become the thing that people are rebelling against. It doesn't matter. You're still part of the game. That's the binary-driven psychological operations, whether it's anti-vax, pro-vax, whether it's anti-GMO, pro-organic. I don't care what binary argument you fall into. You become part of the war, and then the outcome will be the intention. It's always been the intention. The outcome has always been the intention. And so I am relatively self-sufficient. I don't need remedies. I don't need medical care unless I happen to be in an accident. I don't have any children to worry about. I don't go out there and travel around and hope somebody's going to protect me from some idiot. I don't put myself in harm's way. I listen to the warnings, whether it's from the government, from my peers, or from whoever else out there. I don't assume anyone is going to make things easy for me. If anything, I will assume everyone out there makes shit hard for me, because that's the nature of people. They make shit hard for you, but they mask it like, oh, I'm trying to help you. No, you're just getting in the way. You're adding more factors to something I have to fucking survive. And so this is going to fall extremely hard on not only the immigrants, but the children, families, people with disease. When they're dependent upon medication, now the medication is going to go through the fucking roof. Hey, you got your guy in office, you got your Trump in office, and you have diseases, you have bills to pay because you're living high on the hog, you have children, you want to get pregnant, you have to travel everywhere, you have to stay steadfast to your narrow-minded beliefs. Oh, the system is going to fucking weaponize every single intolerance you hold. And so, what did I say? Well, here's the thing. If you are extremely wealthy and extremely healthy and relatively self-sufficient, you don't have to be both, but you could survive this, and it won't affect you as much. If you are a healthy Generation X with no children, you have it made if you know how to scale back your finances, learn how to put your money towards food and shelter and the necessities like climate control, and stay out of harm's way because you don't know what's coming down the pipeline. But it is not only the middle class, but the poor girls and the boys who'll be forced into situations, and you already see families are promoting family, right? Promoting the girls to get pregnant. So the girls are getting pregnant. They're out there running the streets. Boys getting pregnant because they're all sexualized. You know how boys are. She gets pregnant. He knows he's in for some shit. What do you mean by that? Because you're going to have to pay a lot of money to have that baby. Okay? And you see, when you look at the future of 18 years of having to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take care of that baby and dress it and make sure it doesn't get disease and it can handle the air, food, and water and everything else. And we're having no more caps on the EPA. Oh, God. Yeah. Even the men in their gut level know, these young men in their 20s know that this is a losing venture. That's why you're seeing so much infanticide. Because men and women at the gut level know there's no way they're going to be able to keep that baby alive. And so we're going to see so much suffering. So it's going to fall on the poor and the middle class as far as this dystopian way of doing things. Healthcare practice, the healthcare system is not going to want to get involved because they don't want to be put in jail for taking away the life of a baby, regardless of how it is. I mean, I saw a thing on, 60 Minutes. A lady, they did an ultrasound, found that the baby was deformed. And she couldn't get the abortion in that state because the state didn't allow it. It was Texas. So she had her mother, who was a physician, find a way to get her an abortion in another state and had to pay cash, so there was no trace of her getting an abortion in another state. And that's what it's going to have to come down to, I guess. But hey, my guys in office, as you see these right-wing women with children asking for Project 2025. They didn't realize Project 2025 was what Trump represented and is representing. And at this point, it's too late. It's done. It's done. I mean, what did it say? What did they say? Here we go. Seize power within the federal government. Dictatorship with little to no opposition. You asked for it. Implement a national backdoor ban on abortion. Without Congress and jail healthcare providers, oh boy, young mothers with no help left to die. Oh great. Oh great, the blood's on your hands. Only the rich will get help, right? But poor young mothers, nope. Well, that's the thing. That's how they're going to control the population, is when you have poor young girls who don't know any better. There's no guidance. Her mother's wherever, or her mother said, oh yeah, have a baby because that's the only thing you're good for is to have a baby. Be a broad mare. And then there's complications because inevitably that will happen with people who have issues and in climate change. And no one wants to see her. She has a baby. No one wants to do the D&C or give her options. They don't want to be held accountable. So she'll be turned away until she then, and you saw that on some of the articles, this one girl, she was turned away at least 3 times. And she had a miscarriage and a UTI on top of that. Tried to go get help, and no one wanted to help her because they didn't want to be held liable. And that's what is going to happen. These poor, and that is the number one way women died, was not only heart attacks and strokes, as you see, but also childbirth. But you don't see women talk about that in the right wing. No, because it's all about religion. And so the system is going to destroy the right-wing women who have to have babies, 1 billion of them. And these poor girls will be subject to the torture of not getting help. Some will be okay because either they have money or they're strong enough to carry a baby. Not all of them. But no, people don't want to care about that. They don't give a shit. And here we go. What is it? Pack the Supreme Court with MAGA people. Well, you know where that will go, okay? I mean, what is it? Was it the brown shirts? Was it the Hitler Youth back then? Young Republicans, young Democrats, Antifa. It's all the same shit. End climate change protections and gut clean energy programs. Hazardous industrial waste in the air. So we already hear, I've seen on my Ring doorbell, someone saying like, oh God, did someone hear loud clanking from the Marathon oil refinery? And they're right, like, this is like 4 miles away from me. And that's in the southwest side. I'm on the northeast side, and they're in the southwest side. So it's not that far away from me. So if anything happens to that petroleum plant, and they are now releasing all the EPA standards of making sure they had clean air, oh, you're going to have a haze of particulates all over your area. Whether it's in New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, wherever, when you have industrial types of situations like petroleum plants and oil refineries and coal and whatever else, you're going to watch them now repeal all the things that used to keep you safe, relatively safe, at least EPA-wise, right? And you're going to have to breathe in that. And if you're not like me, where you can release down there and handle pain and suffering, you're going to breathe in all this shit. It's going to be stuck in your gut, stuck everywhere. And guess what? You're going to fucking die prematurely. So it's not just the biological microbes that you have to be aware of as far as the climate change and the particle acceleration and these aggressive viruses. Now it's the air quality you're going to have to deal with. And everyone's around some kind of industrial area. Or downwind or upwind from it, relative to where the wind blows. But hey, you're guys in office, you're a fucking winner. Oh yeah, you're a fucking winner, all right. Reinstate crippling student loan debt. Oh yeah, there's ways around that to at least put that off to the wayside until you're ready to do that. But yep. Replace nonpartisan government employees with Trump loyalists. Well, that should be interesting. Pardon January 6th criminal insurrectionists. Okay, whatever. Abolish Department of Education, which means your kids will be taught the least amount of info. Poor kids will be taught combat training, basically. The rich kids might be given a chance to expand their brain if they can survive the weather, but you know how that goes. A lot of these kids are holding so much disease within that, yeah, they might perform for a certain amount of time, but then maybe at 19 they die suddenly. Whatever. At this point, people don't give a fuck. So abolish the Department of Ed. Yeah. And so I'm a self-starter. And if you're not a self-starter and you have children and you're so busy with work and play and everything else, and you're depending upon the school system to teach your kids how to survive, it's not going to fucking happen. You know, we had a computer in our house when we were kids. I learned how to do Math Blaster and the typing tutor as a child. And then in school we had Apple. So we did the Oregon Train and where in the world is Carmen San Diego or whatever. Okay. And then we had typing in junior high. And then I left. And then I came back, went into the military, learned stuff in human resources. So the military taught me how to make a file, in Microsoft Word or Office, Windows. And then I went to these temp agencies and learned the applications. I learned Microsoft Word. I learned Excel. I learned PowerPoint. I learned Access. And then through all the different jobs, I learned all the different systems. That takes a while. You're not going to get that shit in elementary school. Not when they're going to repeal the Department of Education, not preparing these kids for the future. So then these kids will be left to go and either be a porn star, but maybe not so much anymore because they're going to ban all that shit with this next conservative regime. And so what's left? The military. Die for your country. Be patriotic. That's what Trump's platform is, patriotism. Die for your country. Your parents did it. Your grandparents did it. You see all these veterans out there. You got to be a patriot. Abso-fucking-lutely. Die for your country. That's exactly where it's going to go. There's no future for these kids. There never was, and I knew that. But you can't tell anybody anything because they're completely checked out. Force states to report women's miscarriages and abortions to Trump's federal government, and CPS will be on steroids. And you know that will happen as well. You know CPS is going to be in your fucking business. When these kids die suddenly and they are undernourished, malnourished, and then they don't have a doctor, so there's no medical plan for them, no major diagnosis to warrant them dying suddenly, potentially. So then there's an inquest, and yeah, these parents will be pulled up in front of some kind of authority and be questioned. Why isn't this kid under a doctor's care? Why isn't this kid getting medication? Why wasn't this kid vaccinated? And if you can't provide them with an acceptable answer, then you might get, charged with neglect, charged with starving your child. Oh God, I'm telling you, CPS will be on steroids for all these mommy and me groups who are starving their children of air, food, and water because they think everything is poison and they want to have 1 billion fucking kids who can't handle the air, food, and water. So when these kids die suddenly, then people's assets, you never know how they're going to do shit. Repeal LGBTQ protections. Well, don't shove your sexuality in people's faces. People don't need to know what you do behind closed doors. No matter what. I mean, people can kind of guess, but you don't need to shove it in people's faces. But however, we don't need to be hurting other people. You can't be doing anything against the law. But what do I mean by LGBT protections? Well, as far as discrimination in the workplace, discrimination anywhere. If you're not welcome, don't force yourself. And that includes me. When I'm not welcome, I don't force myself. I'm not going to endure abuse by somebody because they don't like me. So what do? I just walk away and go somewhere where I'm accepted. And usually it's by myself. Because at this point, you can't force people to love you, like you, or accept you. There's no fucking way to do that. And if you're going to be so obvious in everything that you do, whether it's gay or straight, then the system has a right to be discriminatory. They do. And that includes straight. You're not supposed to be showing your tits in your office. You're not supposed to be screwing from the company tree. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard, men and women. And so reinstate Trump's transgender military ban and expel transgender service members. Well, if you're not uniform, then you're only a distraction. That's all. It's not saying, well, I'm against. No. When it comes to any kind of company and someone is disruptive with their personal lifestyle and they're not wearing the uniform, not wearing the, playing the part, then you're just a distraction and could be, deadly to that flight. So it's what it is. Cut taxes for the ultra wealthy and increase taxes on the middle class. Oh, Trump is going to save us. He's going to cut interest rates and cut this and cut. Nope. Those are like, oh, Trump is going to make everything easy for us again. We're going to have cheap money and cheap food and cheap gas and cheap this and cheap that. See, if you can't manage your money when you're poor, you can't fucking manage money when you're rich. It doesn't matter what kind of much money someone gives you. You can't manage your money, can't manage your body, mind, and spirit. It's not going to matter what the fuck people do out there. If you can't manage anything and you rely on somebody to make it easy for you, they're going to make it hard for you. Gut Medicare and Social Security. Oh boy. Well, that's why, at some point there will be a universal income, but it's not going to be for a while. So if you can last between now and 2030 and 2040 and 2050 and you're like my age, you're Generation X, and you see the writing on the wall and you don't have any kids and you don't want any kids, and you don't really have any animals. If you do, they might die pretty soon. Don't take it on anymore because that's more shit you got to deal with. If you can scale down your lifestyle and belief systems, and you can stay home and stay safe for the most part, you might have a chance to see through all this bullshit and see the other side without dying someday. Or you become an underworld tourist and you'll look for a guru to give you some pills and powder supplements and then tell you how to play with your chakras and then go off to the other side, go ascend to wherever. I mean, I guess that's where people are going to go. Eliminate union workers' protections. Oh, yeah. Right to work. That was, yeah. We'll go back to and there's no more protections on these factory floors. People get caught in ovens and caught in things. Yeah, working in a factory is not going to be safe. It never really was. But, yeah, it's gone. Reinstate and expand Trump's Muslim ban. Okay, there's that. Withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. Well, we're going to have black skies at some point. And it's going to waft over to the next continent, next city. And the independence of the Department of Justice and the FBI, as they will be the long arm of the executive office. So when Trump was saying that Kamala was using, or the left was using the FBI, and they put Bannon in jail. So Bannon just got out of jail, right? Steve Bannon. Well, he knew He knew. Steve Bannon knew he had to do his time. Just to show you that he's going to get back at those who used the FBI and Department of Justice against him and the Trump people. So guess what? Turnabout is fair play. And so the DOJ and the FBI, they will be the long arm of the executive office. And I hope you understand what that means. Implement and expand book bans. Remember, everything's by the law. You abide by the law. If there's new things in place, if they say you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say climate change, you can't say whatever certain things, don't fucking say it. Just don't. This is when you're going to have to really be watching your P's and Q's. Implement and expand book bans. Well, yeah. That's always been out there. Censorship. End prescription med cap prices. You will pay more for meds. So it's going to line the pockets of the prescription drug market. But if you're relying on insulin and low blood pressure medicine, and you're relying on painkillers and life-saving medication, well, you know, the system is trying to scale down. So if you are that dependent on medication, even remedies, you're going to be paying out the nose for them. Ban abortion medication, no more Plan B. Then people will be taking poisons and they destroy themselves. You see that. You know, oh, look, take this type of herbal extract to end your pregnancy or use it as birth control. Oh, yeah, we're going to see women using herbs and extracts to poison themselves. They'll be turning to the witches in the forest again. That's why I posted that Facebook reel of witches in the forest. What is it? A secret? I got a secret. Oh yeah, women will be going into secrecy to get these herbs. Some woman's going to make in her backyard or make in her kitchen. Girl's going to drink it because she's desperate. She'll die. I got a secret. Abso-fucking-lutely. Put limits on contraception access. Oh yeah. You're going to see the witches come out with all of their brews. Rip away a woman's protection for a right to life-saving medication. Again, you're going to see women turning to the witches and the warlocks and the wizards of our society. Go after marriage equality. Oh, well, that was obvious to be expected. We're going into a right-wing, family-first dystopian society. Put immigrants in mass detention camps. So when you have no immigrants doing the jobs, who's going to do them? If no one's doing the jobs, then what's going to happen? You're going to see shit fall apart. And that's another way to destroy society, is take away the things that you don't even know were doing things for you. So when you think about it, you have all these illegal immigrants making sure that your food gets processed in the way that you expect, making sure the floors get cleaned, making sure the food gets cooked at your favorite restaurants, and they take away all that labor that used to give you your quality of life. Oh, you're going to see what you didn't know was supporting you. The right wing are going to see exactly what the left wing was protecting them from. And then the right wing is going to see exactly what the immigrants were doing that they took for granted. Oh, this is going to be fucking insane. Rip immigrant children away from the mother's arms. Yeah. That's called saving the kids from a life that they probably won't survive. Oh my God, that's so horrible. Yeah, well, it's been done. It's been done forever. If you watch some of these movies, that was the intention. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to take these children and turn them into a surviving human being, because you know what they're going to be in for is to get pregnant at an early age, get married off to some stranger, get pregnant, and be used. And you see that in third world countries. You see the sex trade is so huge in Vietnam and Thailand, even parts of China. And so to save these children from that kind of lifetime of suffering, and even in the Americas, I mean, girls are trafficked to go marry some dude. You see that in Hollywood. You see that with Shaq O'Neal, and you see that with Tamora Lee Simmons' daughters being matched up with these old billionaires to be used as sex toys. That's what these kids are in for. To be someone's sexual plaything or broadmare. And that's what the right and the left advocate. Cut employees overtime, okay. Replace climate advisors with fossil fuel lobbyists. That's why you're seeing all the lithium shit. That's why you're seeing all the floods. Lithium mines, you got the earthquakes, the floods, the fires, the hurricanes. So that's what you're in for. It's not as great as you're going to think. It's not as great as you think it's going to be. But hey, you signed on the dotted line. So if you want to blame where America is going and all the suffering, talk to people that said, oh, vote, I voted. Look, I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. Yep, he's okay. So when shit goes down the fucking drain and when your kids and you and everything else is going through some rough times, you can go find your friends on Facebook and say, hey, I voted for Trump. And you can blame them. And you would actually be legitimately correct because they wanted Project 2025 to happen. And they had no regard for anyone else but their religion and their lifestyle and their belief system. And that's it. No regard for anyone else. Okay, that's fine. So this is going to be extremely interesting to watch. And whatever happens, I'm prepared for it, whatever it is, because I knew it was going to happen. But again, they had to introduce a lot of different distractions to give you all the upsides and the downsides, to give you a chance. That's why Kamala Harris came in. They weren't going to bring Hillary Clinton. They weren't going to bring in anyone that you would necessarily completely respect. They brought in someone that you had questions about. Oh, God, Kamala on her knees. And what was that guy, Willie Brown? And what she... So they brought in someone that you didn't really respect, but could be the face of someone, you know, human just like you. They brought in someone that was not very well polished in her background, that had questions. Someone that Candace Owens can go and go, oh, look at birther stuff. To give you the downsides of what you're asking the system for as far as Trump. And if you still thought that was great and you still thought that Trump was wonderful and amazing, okay. They showed you exactly what it is you would be getting. And so everybody who actually voted put their money where their mouth is. You have no room to complain. When shit goes awry, when shit affects you so adversely and affects your children and your Social Security and your prescription drugs and everything about your way of life, when it affects you, you asked for it. Good luck.